Hello and welcome to today's episode of Comms Business Live. Today we're looking at the future of work. 2020 dramatically accelerated the speed of digital-first change, and organisations are waking up to the reality that there will be plenty of hybrid workplaces once the world moves forward from this pandemic. Putting the right technologies in place will be key to success. I'm delighted to be joined by Jane Craven, Sales Director of Enterprise Solutions for the UK and Ireland at EPOS. Welcome, Jane.
Thank you.
So first up, one thing that's come into focus over the past year is employee wellbeing, and many companies are taking the impact of frustrations over the technology being used really seriously. What are your thoughts on how technology frustrations can impact productivity, performance and wellbeing?
Yeah, we've seen a real increase with the frustrations of technology, and particular with the negative impact that using the wrong technology can have on a person. Just referring to a few facts and figures, we actually our post-COVID research shows that an average of 29 minutes a week is lost due to poor sound quality, excessive background noise, signal cuts. 29 minutes a week might not sound like much, but that actually is 3 days a year. When if you add that up over your workforce, that's quite a considerable amount of time. The research that we've done, though, just actually shows that poor audio also means you have dissatisfied customers. It can actually lead to financial losses due to incorrectly undertaking a task if you haven't heard what's required of you properly, a loss of key piece of work, even a loss of a pitch. So it's really essential that that we ensure that if this is actually being carried over and we're using the correct technology in order to be able to do that. We need to definitely make sure that we're looking at employees' well-being as part of this. Pre-pandemic, we saw that 35% of people just get frustrated or annoyed if they can't hear a call correctly. 25 feel stressed, which obviously is something that we don't want for our employees to have. And 15% actually feel embarrassed for the people that they're talking to as well. So if that's pre-COVID research, you can imagine how much more this is being over the last year, where basically all of our calls have been calls rather than face-to-face meetings.
Yeah, and I think everyone can relate to how stressful it is when you're trying to connect with someone, have a good conversation, and all you can hear is your own voice being reflected back at you.
Yeah.
Or
what all the time.
Yeah, or if you're just continually accidentally talking over someone because of audio delays, that's also really terrible. And I can really relate to that personally. I've had a couple of really awful calls where I've just ended up having to call someone's mobile instead because it just wasn't working out with the connection that we had. So I'm sure lots of employers are going to start thinking about how they can stop that happening going into the future.
Absolutely.
And something that lots of businesses have been talking about is this hybrid approach to working from home, working in the office. What are your thoughts on how corporations can support their workforces as they take this hybrid approach?
Yeah, I mean, if we look at what hybrid is, hybrid's obviously the ability to be able to work from wherever you are. So whether that be in the office, at home, on the go, on an aeroplane, on the train, wherever. So obviously, it can make people a lot more productive because it means that you're not just doing that 9 to 5 in the office. If you're looking at the research again, is showing that 45% of decision makers have actually cited time savings and 41% cost savings is the two most important reasons for actually using video or face-to-face of calls. what we found is that being in the office is it's no longer going to be the focal point for people. People are just going to be like out and about wherever they need to be. We've actually, the International Facility Management Association actually found that 81% of SMEs expect more than a quarter of their staff to work remotely most of the time once the pandemic's actually over. So on that business, at that point, we're actually seeing businesses shifting company budgets and away from what we would have seen as being the traditional physical workplace, and actually moving that budget towards enabling people to have this hybrid working instead, so that people can feel that they can actually digitally equipped to work anywhere that they need to be able to work. So important that you have the right technology to be able to do that, though. Also really important that that technology is tailor-made to the person who's using it. What we found during the pandemic is that it was just a case of go out, get what I can get, so that that person can actually communicate via an online platform. What we're starting to see now is businesses starting to concentrate on actually what is the right product and the right equipment for that person to be using for the job that they're doing, as well as the environment that they're using it in as well. So yeah, it's really, really important that we're actually seeing that employees have got the right tools for the jobs, and actually business leaders are really recognising that now and ensuring that that's happening.
And you've touched on kind of this almost like tailor-made approach to finding the right technologies for different groups within an organisation. But are there kind of any other ways that organisations can look at alleviating kind of day-to-day stresses for these hybrid workers?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, I think that we've talked about prioritising work-life balances now for a long time, and certainly the pandemic has brought that to the forefront. That we really need to make sure that businesses have best practice, keep morale going, creating harmony, optimising productivity, efficiency. We're really now, I think, all becoming tech first companies, whereas previously technology has been something that we've acknowledged, but over the last 12 months we've really understood the need to embrace technology, and it's become an essential part of how we're all working. So yeah, whether the employees have the tools to work effectively, can they work at home effectively at the moment, but obviously pretty soon we're going to be seeing people doing some kind of moving back to the office. So is that technology transportable? Can they actually move it from one to the other? So I think all of these things are really important, having that flexibility as well, to be able to do that. But then also looking, we've seen a lot of companies that are actually introducing digital workplace wellbeing programs to combat the loneliness of working on your own, and also to ensure that you're maintaining that connection with your colleagues. So examples of that can be coffee breaks, virtual quizzes, setting up one-to-one meetings, small chats, having also calls that actually involve the whole organisation as well.
Yeah.
And actually putting these kind of things as part of a weekly routine, so that people know that they're not just going to get left at home with the cat, with the kids on their own. Because yeah, a lot of people have grown up in the working environment, used to having that chat at the coffee machine. There's no reason why you can't continue to do that. In fact, our marketing department at EPOS actually have a coffee break booked into their calendar at 10:15 every morning, which we in sales for a long time just thought it was them deciding to have some time out, and it is actually having time out, but it's actually making sure that they are just sitting down and having that chill out and being able to chat to each other about non-work things, and it works really, really well.
Yeah, because it does completely change your relationships with your colleagues when you're suddenly working in a very different way. And someone's not next to you when they used to be like a few desks away. So I think those kind of softer elements of what it means to look after employee well-being are definitely things that are going to take priority in the months ahead.
Absolutely. And also new starters. I mean, we've got people on our team that haven't actually met any of us face to face. So we've got to think about obviously there's the side of how to build a relationship, how to build rapport, how to bring them into being part of the team when they haven't actually met anybody on the team. But from another side, from a wellbeing perspective, what we've actually found is that organisations which work on a national basis or even an international basis, you've become a lot more close to those colleagues that you wouldn't necessarily see every day. So if you've got an office in London, an office in Manchester, we found that people across the offices have become closer because they've had more time to be able to discuss and build relationships with people who don't work in their offices. So whilst it's tougher maybe on the smaller teams, I think the larger teams have actually benefited from it.
Yeah, and that is an interesting kind of positive from this, in the kind of blurring the lines between kind of office boundaries. I think you're right, lots of workplaces are seeing that they might have become really good friends with someone that they otherwise wouldn't have spent as much time with on a video call.
Absolutely. And it's opening possibilities up as well from employment. We had an instance with a council not so long ago when they were telling us that ordinarily, if they were advertising for a job, it would be within a 30-mile radius of that where that person lived. They've now gone national with that role because they've appreciated the fact that that person doesn't need to be coming into the office every day of the week. They can occasionally come in as and when's needed. So if you imagine the talent pool that they've been now able to access, going from a 30-mile radius up to a national radius is quite extraordinary.
Completely ridiculous difference in the amount of talent they'll be able to access. So as we've touched on at various points there, with employee experiences really differing, what are your thoughts on how organisations can identify kind of the core challenges that they need to address? And then how does that understanding help ensure that the right technologies are put into place?
What we were seeing pre-COVID was a move of organisations that were actually looking to decrease spending on audio equipment. And they rationalised this by actually expecting the staff to either bring their own devices or by using the built-in audio that comes with your laptop or whatever device you order, your phone. Whatever device you're using. And whilst obviously that might help with cost savings, what we've actually seen is that it causes a nightmare for businesses. First of all, because of the negative audio experiences that we've just been covering, and what you might get if you are just using the built-in device or if you're using your own device that you've got. So continuing to have background noises, interference, all of these things that can impact bottom line if it's not done correctly. But we've also seen that the pod IT departments that we've had feedback from that during COVID have operated pre-COVID to bring your own device, and now having to be experts in every make of phone, every make of laptop, every make of headset, because it's just got such a diverse equipment used across their business. So we've seen a lot of businesses actually decide to move away from that because it's been seen as false economy, and actually move back to having not necessarily the same exactly the same headset for everybody or the same laptop for everybody, the same webcam for everybody, but making sure that they actually reduce the number of varieties that they have so that they can actually support people when there is an issue with it. So yeah, that's been really interesting. I've also seen a lot of people just go for the cheap option of just give me anything that we can use. I mean, we've had likewise we've had some organisations that we've talked to gone to extraordinary lengths of getting the top of the range gaming headsets because it was the only thing that was available as well to them. So so going back to what I said earlier, now it's really much about people finding what's right for that person. making sure organizations are looking at like digitally advanced things now as well. So features such as ANC or AI. So AI for voice pickups and things like that. Anything that can help the employee be more connected and more heard is very much where they need to be. We've also got, obviously, again, the younger, more tech-savvy employees that are coming into organisations. These people have got a real strong feeling when it comes to design and functionality, and they're really. It's really important to them that the equipment that they're using, they feel it is the right equipment for them. We've seen more and more rollouts now where employers are involving employees in how they actually invest their money and where they invest their money, because they're acknowledging that everyone's got different needs and therefore they're going to need different solutions. So whether that's long battery life, wireless solution, all-day comfort, it really comes down to no two job roles are exactly the same. So why should you be the equipment that those people are using be exactly the same as well?
Definitely. And I think as businesses are moving from survival mode, as they were, as we entered the pandemic, into kind of what the long term actually looks like, these are all different things that they're going to have to consider. And you mentioned a few times there how important the IT team have been to so many organisations. They really have been the superheroes of the past year, keeping businesses moving.
Absolutely.
And as we look at these long-term solutions, kind of raising the CIO to a conversation for the CIO to a conversation for the whole C-suite will be really important to securing the right investment to make sure that the right technologies are suggested. How would you say CIOs can go about that, and how can the channel support CIOs in that kind of mission to get the right funds for the problem?
Yeah, I certainly think that the CIOs couldn't have foreseen what was going to be happening in the last 12 months. And obviously, it means that their role is becoming even more crucial than it has been previously. I mean, the demands that are getting placed on the technology function are obviously just going to rise and rise. Right, it's almost like no matter what business you're in now, your business is technology, and I think that's just going to continue to grow. Obviously, CIOs are going to be best equipped to take any lead when it comes to digital transformation, but it's something that they're having to learn as well. I think that hybrid working isn't something that every CIO takes a job of and knows and understands. So I think it's very much an education that the CIO will have a vision of what they want it to look like, and their job's obviously to communicate that vision effectively to the rest of the business. And I think it's very much that they need to be of a learning mindset in order to be able to do that. They need to get used to being more agile, but also they need to get their whole business used to being more agile as well. So a lot of a very demanding time for the CEOs, and obviously from that perspective, we all know that no matter what happens, the future is going to hold more video calls, more phone calls. So we're going to be in an environment where everybody needs to have that audio excellence and those seamless tools and able to collaborate. From where the channel can help, I think it basically comes down to implementation, administration and maintenance to help the IT departments. The channel really need to take a strategic point of view, and become business advisors to the CIOs. Like I said before, there's a big education there to be worked on, and obviously the channel really understands hybrid working, and it's up to the channel to educate and to help the CIOs to make sure that they're getting the best from their business. To really help them make those informed decisions that are going to help drive their company forward.
Thanks, Jane. Some really helpful guidance in there for organisations, CIOs and technology providers to help them navigate what hybrid working practices look like and how to put the right technologies in place. And thanks to you guys at home for tuning in and finding out a bit more about this. If you do want to find out even more, you can find EPOS audio in all the usual places. And there are some details in the video description that can point you in the right direction. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.